Donald Trump is set to select his vice president candidate this week at or before the Republican National Convention. And this name is not getting floated around an awful lot, but I genuinely think and hope that Tulsi Gabbard is being seriously considered because I think she would make the best running mate for Donald Trump, and that is for multiple reasons. And in this video, I'm going to get into why. And first off, for those of you who don't know, she actually used to be a former Democrat congresswoman, and you might be thinking, why would he want a former Democrat? Well, the word former is very important in that sentence because she left the Democrat Party a few years ago after realizing how crazy it's become and how it no longer represents her values that first motivated her to get involved in politics. She actually ran for president in 2016, and guess who was on the debate stage with her? No other than Kamala Harris. And look at her tear down Kamala Harris in this debate clip. This is how I'm going to start off the video by sharing a little fun little clip of her tearing down the current vice president, who I think Tulsi Gabbard would make a much better vice president than our current one. But here's a clip of her calling out Kamala's hypocrisy on the national debate stage when she was seeking the Democrat nomination for president of the United States.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
So as you can see, she's already way more articulate than our current vice president, and also, she is not done there. She uses her closing statement in this debate that you're about to watch to absolutely tear the current state of the Democratic Party to shreds.
Our Democratic Party, unfortunately, is not the party that is of, by, and for the people. It is a party that has been and continues to be influenced by the foreign policy establishment in Washington, represented by Hillary Clinton and others' foreign policy, by the military-industrial complex and other greedy corporate interests.
Senator Harris, any response?
Oh, sure. I think that it's unfortunate that we have someone on the stage who is attempting to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, who during the Obama administration spent 4 years full-time on Fox News criticizing President Obama.
That's
who
ridiculous,
has spent full-time,
That's
who has
ridiculous.
spent full-time criticizing people on this stage as affiliated with the Democratic Party. When Donald Trump was elected, not even sworn in, buddied up to Steve Bannon to get a meeting with Donald Trump in the Trump Tower, fails to call a war criminal by what he is as a war criminal, and then spends full time during the course of this campaign, again, criticizing the Democratic Party. What we need on the stage in November is someone who has the ability to win. And by that, we need someone on that stage who has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and someone who has the ability to rebuild the Obama coalition and bring the party and the nation together. I believe I am that candidate.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'll give you a chance to respond.
What Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies and smears and innuendos because she cannot challenge the substance of the argument that I'm making, the leadership and the change that I'm seeking to bring in our foreign policy, which only makes me guess that she will, as president, continue the status quo, continue the Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy of regime change wars, which is deeply destructive.
And as you can see from that clip, one of Kamala Harris's biggest criticisms of Tulsi Gabbard was that even though she was a Democrat in Congress, while Barack Obama was president, she did not just go along with the flow of what Barack Obama and the party establishment wanted. Tulsi is a free-thinking adult who will speak up when she sees wrongdoing, regardless of which political party is doing it, which has earned her a lot of respect with independent voters and Democrats who feel polarized from today's Democrat Party. If they need someone to vote for come November, I think Tulsi Gabbard represents a lot of the values that she brings. And also, Republicans respect the hell out of Tulsi Gabbard because her values actually align more with today's Republican Party than the Democrat Party she left, which is why she left it. Now, this was a clip from a couple of months ago when she was asked point blank, what qualities do you think Trump needs in his next choice for vice president? And I want you to listen to her answer very closely because this woman speaks only the truth, and it's a truth that we all need to hear.
I get concerned every time I meet people as I travel who say, yeah, Trump's going to win this election. It's in the bag. It's a done deal. I've been through enough elections and I've seen enough elections where it is not done until that last vote is cast. And it concerns me when I hear this from people because it allows for a sense of complacency. We saw this in 2022. The outcome of the election was very different than what pundits on both sides of the aisle were saying it would be. And I think, and I talked to different campaign operatives, they said, well, gosh, there were 25,000 people in the state of Georgia, or 50,000 people that we expected to show up that just didn't show up and vote. So winning elections is about winning support. For President Trump or anyone running for president, frankly, you want to be able to bring people in to support you who may not already be there. And so that I think is probably one of the criteria that he's looking at, or that he should be looking at, is he's already got a huge following and a huge base of support that's very, very loyal. How do you bring over, there was a Gallup poll that came out recently, a week or two ago, that showed 43% of voting Americans are unaffiliated with either party. 43%. So
Wow.
that's a huge group of people who maybe they're undecided, maybe they're decided, who knows, but they are not already locked in from a partisan standpoint. There's a huge number of people like Bob Bartels, the video of the union leader we just saw, people who may already be in that pocket of identified Democrat voters, but they're saying no. The Democratic Party has forced us to look elsewhere. I can't in good conscience vote for a Biden-Harris administration. So there's a lot of folks out there, people who may have walked a similar path that I have, a similar path that Adam has walked, who maybe identified as Democrats for a really long time, but have gotten to a point where it's just like they have gone crazy. Those are the kinds of people that I don't want to say up for grabs because it sounds very transactional, but who are looking for the right answer in how they want to cast their vote. That's number one. And then number two is it's critical that President Trump have someone by his side who has a backbone and courage and ready to take on the fight of our frickin' lives in Washington to root out the rot and corruption that is so deeply entrenched in every part of our federal government.
What's going to happen if you are in the Oval Office and he says something you don't agree with? I mean, we saw what happened to Mike Pence. This guy was his lapdog for 3 years and 364 days. Now he's dead to him. You've got a backbone. You've got courage. What's going to happen? You're like, yeah, Trump, I don't agree with you on this. What would happen to your loyalty then?
Here's what's important, and here's where, you know, so much of the caricature and the narrative that those who hate Trump put out. We were talking a little bit backstage there about, you know, what's going on with the Supreme Court and this whole immunity challenge and everything else. One of the Democrats' favorite lines is, we have to save democracy by stopping Trump, because if he is allowed to be reelected, it'll be the last election the country ever sees, and he will become the dictator in chief, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so, yes, loyalty is important. I make no bones about the fact that my loyalty will never be to a single party. It will always be to our country first. I don't question Donald Trump's loyalty to our country, and here's why. If it doesn't matter how many people say, well, he's only in it for himself and this and that. The guy has been, 92 or 97 felony charges now. He's being held up in a court of law. He is, his bank account is being cleaned out by all of these various charges and rulings that are coming through. The guy is losing money. He is being attacked relentlessly. He has the Department of Justice being weaponized against him. You look at all these things that he's going through. One of the court cases he has now was only picked up again after he announced he was running. Previously, they had looked at the charges and said, yeah, there's nothing here. We're not going to pursue this. Why would a guy like him put himself through that if not motivated by a desire to serve our country and to save our country from the Biden-Harris administration, the Democrat elite, who are actually destroying it? They are actually taking away our freedom. They are actually going after our kids. They are taking parents' rights away from them. They are making our country less secure through open borders. We can go down the laundry list of very, very serious challenges. These aren't Democrat or Republican problems. There are problems that affect every one of us. So, if I were in a position, if Donald Trump said, hey, here's what I think we should do, what do you think? And if I did not feel it was the right thing for the country, I would absolutely tell him so and respect the office that he holds. But I'm not chasing any titles. I'm not chasing any jobs. I'm chasing the opportunity to be in the most impactful position to save our country, because there is nothing short of our future and our freedom that is at stake in this election.
And this is her when she was asked by Tucker Carlson point blank, are you interested in being Trump's VP? And she gives one of the best answers ever.
So you've been in a lot of different news stories talked about as a potential VP choice for Trump. I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. Probably unknowable. Are you open to that? If you don't do that, what else are you open to? What's your plan?
I'd love to be in a position to help secure our country and to get us off this path towards World War III and nuclear war that the Democrat elite and President Biden's policies have us on right now. This is something that transcends party affiliation. It transcends how you may like or dislike certain candidates. This is the fact, and it's the reality that we have to confront ourselves with if we care about peace, if we care about freedom, if we care about security, if we care about our country and our future. The choice is very clear in this election and what we must do in leaving the Democrat Party behind.
And this is Dave Rubin asking her point blank, if Trump called and asked you to be his VP, would you say yes? And if you listen very closely to her answer, she maybe dropped a little Easter egg.
I think you should be the choice. It is obvious to me, it's really obvious to me that if Trump wants to win this election, he needs to bring in what you represent, and you are you. So if you get the call, I've heard you answer this at least once already, but I sense that the momentum is going to go in that way. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready because I know what is at stake in a deep and visceral way in this election. I'm not on a ballot. I could be home right now in Hawaii and surfing and kicking back and,
I was going to say, I know what you'd
relaxing.
Be doing. You'd be surfing. Yeah.
But I have chosen, I won't be home until after this election is done because I know what's at stake. And if that call came, I would say yes. And I'd be honored to serve my country in that way and to be in a position first to help win this election, to stop the Democrat elite from destroying our country, and then actually begin the real work of getting our country back on track. And that starts with having people of courage in our government who care more about the country than they do about the political elite in Washington, and actually rooting out the deep rot that exists within our bureaucracies, the administrative state, the deep state in Washington. It's going to take a team of joyful warriors to go and fight that fight. Because as we've seen time and time again, there are a lot of powerful people who are unelected in doing everything they can to hold on to their power. at the cost of the well-being of the American people.
You think she'd be better than Kamala Harris? It's good to see.
Is that even a question?
No, it's not much of a question, because I think we all know you'd make one hell of a great running mate and vice president of our country. Much better than Kamala Harris for sure, although that's a pretty low bar. So Tulsi Gabbard is my #1 choice for who I think Donald Trump should select as his running mate for president of the United States. Anyways, guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe as well, and as always, I'll see you in the next one, and stay free, my friends.